Eighth grade. Today's science class is going to take us into an in-depth research of the periodic table. The sheet that you have in front of you for Wednesdays, labeled right up here, is the periodic table enrichment. Our directions are read right here. Refer to a periodic table to complete the first 4 columns of the table below. Then use a dictionary, encyclopedia, or other resource, such as the internet, to complete the last column. When you've completed the table, answer the question that follows. So our job is to fill in the information right here about these different elements on the periodic table. We have to find the element's symbol, number of protons, atomic number, and if it is a metal, nonmetal, or metalloid. And then we're going to use our computers to do a little bit of research on the characteristics and uses of those different types of elements, and I'll show you how that's going to be done. Right here on our Google Classroom page, I have linked an interactive periodic table. If you click that link, it should take you to a page that looks just like this, in which we can find all sorts of information from the periodic table and for each and every one of those elements. So if I go back to our worksheet, the first one we have here is hydrogen. The symbol for hydrogen can be found by going to the actual block for hydrogen. If I put my cursor, the arrow, right over the top of it, it pops up in this left-hand corner and shows me a whole bunch of information all about hydrogen. If I click on it, it actually locks into that position so I can actually scroll over all these other things. So hydrogen's symbol is H. I would write H right in this blank. The number of protons. Number of protons is indicated by the atomic number. So these 2 columns are actually going to be the exact same answer. The atomic number is the number of protons. That would give it the exact same answer for both of those. Hydrogen is 1. Its element symbol is H. The number of protons is 1, and its atomic number is 1. So I would write 1 right here, 1 right here. Is it a metal, nonmetal, or metalloid? Now here's where you're going to need your textbook, and you're going to find where hydrogen is in your textbook. So using this periodic table, you see all the different colors that are indicated by the different types of families, these element families. In your textbook, it's in a simplified version of this as a blue, yellow, or green, I believe, picture that shows metal, nonmetal, or metalloid. So from that picture, you'd be able to indicate, based on the color that's showing from your textbook, what that actually is, metal, nonmetal, metalloid, and then answer here. Now for this last part where it says characteristics and uses, you're going to have to use a little bit of a research skill. We're going to go to a search engine such as Google, and you're going to type in something like this, the uses of hydrogen, because it's asking you for characteristics and uses. Now when I am going through and researching, I want to make sure that my sites are actually credible sites. So if I click on one of these to see where this information is coming from, I want to make sure that it's a credible resource. The Royal Society of Chemistry sounds like it's a really incredible resource, because guess what? It's all about chemistry, and it looks like it's the society, a group of chemists that have put this information together. And if I do a little bit further search and realize that the uses and properties are listed right here, that I could read through and pick out information to fill in on that chart. Now I don't want to just use the first thing that pops up, even though Google kind of works to give you what would be a really good and valid resource. I want to make sure that I check multiple resources. So I'm going to go down here and see that there's a couple other ones. What I'm looking for is something that's dealing with the periodic table. So here, Web Elements periodic table is going to give me what I want, not just the uses of hydrogen in other like industrial usages. So here I'm learning about the periodic table, and I have hydrogen listed, and it's going to list for me uses of hydrogen and or characteristics of hydrogen. I could take one of these items and write it into this table for my research, and I've now completed all of what would be this portion. Now let's go down and try another one, and then I'm going to have you do the rest of this on your own. Number 2 is carbon. First thing we need to do is find carbon on the periodic table. Find carbon. Carbon's right here. It is number 6 on our periodic table. You can see all the different other aspects or characteristics of carbon. Its melting point, boiling point, its hardness, if it's a good conductor of heat or electricity. Here carbon is C. You'd write C as its element symbol. The number of protons and the atomic number, again, are going to be the exact same answer. If the number right here is 6, the atomic number is 6, then the number of protons is 6. So I would write 6 in both these categories. 6 for protons, 6 for atomic number. Now using your textbook again, you're going to see if this is a metal, nonmetal, or metalloid. Does it fall into the blue, green, or yellow category based on where this item is in your textbook? Lastly, you're going to go and research. You're going to try and find carbon. If I scroll down on this page, I can click on carbon, and it's going to pop up the different usages of carbon. Here it talks about the different types of properties that you could find, such as the physical properties of carbon. Or if I go back, you can find those usages again in terms of characteristics and uses. If I find and read through here, I take one of these pieces of information and I plug it into the periodic table or the table right here for carbon. I have now successfully done that research to find a little bit more about carbon. I would continue that type of method all the way through to number 10, finding where each one of these items are on the periodic table. Once I found where each one of those are, I can get the element symbol, the number of protons from the atomic number, because those two are going to be the same, find where it is in my textbook, and then do a little bit of extra research. Now the last question says, name 3 things that you can predict about an element from its position on the periodic table. That's going to ask you about, a lot of times, the categorization of metals, nonmetals, or metalloids. And if it is a metal, nonmetal, or metalloid, it's going to give you information about the different types of usages or the different types of material that it makes up. Now, another aspect of this is the idea that where this item is positioned on the periodic table might be based on the row that it's in or the period column that it's in. So there's vertical rows, those are called columns, and there's the horizontal rows, those are called periods. Now, back in your textbook in your reading, there were 2 definitions for how those things are organized in the periodic table. If it's in a vertical column like this, that's a element family a lot of times because they're signified by these different colors. Those elements in this element family are all going to have the same type of characteristics all the way through. So you could click on one of those families to kind of learn, well, if you're in this position on the periodic table, all of the elements that are falling into that same category have these characteristics. So that's the second way in which I would answer this question. You're going to find out and learn about it as a metal, nonmetal, or metalloid. The second one is its position in a vertical column, and the third would be its position in a horizontal column, which has to do with the energy level that it has overall. The last thing you have for your assignment today is to click on this IXL activity. The IXL activity is going to look like this. What are atoms and chemical elements? Your job is to simply go through and answer these questions based on what you would have learned in our reading from the first 2 lessons in our chapter. For example, though they are too small to see without a special microscope, atoms make up the substances around you. Like all matter, atoms have mass and volume, but atoms are extremely small. A water droplet like the one hanging from the tip of the leaf in this picture contains more than 1 billion trillion atoms. Which of the following statements is true? Atoms do not have mass. Atoms make up every substance around you. Atoms can be seen with the naked eye. You would pick out what you know based on the definitions that we've learned and get that correct. Oh, let's get started. Got it. Almost all of the atom's mass is found in its nucleus, located in the center of the atom. An atom's nucleus can contain 2 types of particles, protons and neutrons. The nucleus of every atom contains 1 or more protons. Each proton has a positive electrical charge. In many atoms, the nucleus also contains neutrons. A neutron has no electric charge. Determine which each statement is true or false to complete the table. Most of an atom's mass is found in protons and neutrons. True, we just read that. The nucleus of an atom contains at least 1 proton. True. The nucleus of an atom is found in the atom's center. True. A neutron has a positive electric charge. False. A neutron is neutral. Great job. Protons and neutrons are found in the nucleus of an atom. Traveling around the nucleus are fast-moving particles called electrons. Each electron has a negative electrical charge. An electron is much smaller and lighter than a proton or neutron. Which of the following statements are true? Select all that apply. A proton is the same size as an electron. Not if it says that it's a small, fast-moving particle, smaller and lighter than a proton. All the electrons are located outside its nucleus. That's true. Electron has a negative electrical charge. That's true. All right, so you get it. Each and every one of these problems, you're going to read through the situation or through the circumstance and then answer the question provided to show what you've learned about the periodic table, about atoms and elements. Make sure you watch the instructional video, this video that you're watching right now. Utilize this interactive periodic table and then use those quality research skills in terms of when you're typing in something into your search bar, you're looking for an internet website, that it's a valid resource that you can use to find information. God's blessings on your assignment. If you have any questions, please let me know.